Hey, welcome into the Oshner Andrew Sports Medicine Institute podcast studio up here on Veterans Memorial Boulevard, right next door to my guy, Matt Bowers, state of the art Ford dealership. He's got dealerships all throughout the region. If you're in the market for a car, make sure you go check out Matt at one of his many locations. Welcome back to another episode of NewOrleans.Football presented by PJ's Coffee. Our first topic today, we finally talked to Kellen Moore, had the introductory press conference. Our first topic is presented by Hardhide Punchatoula Strawberry Whiskey. Mike, what do you think? Did Kellen Moore tip his hand on Derek Carr?
No, I don't think so. As I wrote, there was no way he was going to come out and announce, we're moving on from Derek Carr. I'm going to draft a quarterback this year. I mean, that was never going to happen. But I thought there was at least a 30% chance that he might commit to Derek Carr and say, Derek Carr is my guy. We're going into this season. We're going to go win the NFC South. And he very clearly didn't. Now, I don't think that means they're not committing to Derek Carr. The decision just had not been made as of his second full day on the job. I still am going to bet that Derek Carr stays here just because it's going to be so hard salary cap wise to move on. But I think that makes it clear that discussions are going to be had and decisions are not finalized yet. And they shouldn't be, because I think this team should try to find a way to get out from that $40 million contract. But yeah, it was interesting. It was interesting that we didn't get the full commitment. Oh no, Derek Carr's the quarterback, and I can't wait to work with him.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was interesting on a couple levels. If he's your starting quarterback, you don't have a problem
Yeah,
committing to him. Like if he's
yeah,
your guy, he kind of felt like he committed to Alvin Kamara and he wasn't asked in like as a direct way. Like you don't have a problem doing that. If we would have been like, hey, who's your starting center? He would have been like, we got our starting center in the building.
yeah,
It's Eric McCoy. There's no question about it. Can't wait to get him out there. Huge part of the offense. If you asked him who the starting wide receivers are, I don't think he's going to be like, we're going to evaluate Chris Olave and
yeah.
Rashid Shaheed. He isn't going to say that Chris Olave is a good player in the league. He'd say Chris Olave is a good player for us. Like it was interesting. Even if he ends up being the starting quarterback next year, I think he was very careful in not making it sound like Derek Carr is his guy. Like he's a guy on the team, a good player in the NFL, but it's not, he's my guy. The other thing that I thought was really smart about that, and I don't know if it's deliberate or not, but the fact that he didn't go up there and kind of like coddle him, I think is big. Like that was a problem for a lot of players on the team. That was a recurring theme of something I continue to hear about. When I wrote the DA, like what happened, what went wrong, why did he leave thing, that was a big like thematic thing in there. So to not go up there and be like, no, 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 Derek's like different than everybody else. Like he's
Yeah.
perfect and great and all this stuff. Like I think it was a smart move. I think that's a message that's going to resonate in the locker room, to not go out there and be like, hey, look, this guy's being gifted everything. No, like there was another quarterback on the team that played pretty good too. Like, is Derek probably in a better position to succeed in 25 than Spencer Rattler? Probably so, but go out there and camp and prove it if he's going to be on the team. But I thought it was very smart not to make it sound like this is my guy. Like I'm choosing him and I'm knighting him. I feel like he kind of did that a little bit with Alvin, to a certain degree, and that's fine. Like that's Alvin. He's earned
Yeah.
it. Like he shouldn't, and nobody's going to hear that and be like, oh man, here we go again. Like this great player on our team. No, like Alvin deserves that kind of stature, but I don't think Derek Carr does. And I think his future with the team is up in the air. And to kind of separate yourself from that and not make it sound like he's the guy, I think is important. I think moving on from him will be hard, but
Yeah.
I do think that certainly it's certainly possible though. And those comments yesterday made it feel more possible. Like
I
it
think
wasn't a
I think
commitment.
that confirmed they've had whatever. They've had 10 hours of discussions together, and however many more discussions that they've had other than just the interview process. This confirmed that there is a decision still to be made. Like I I would like to think that during the interview process they laid out pretty clearly. I would hope the Saints told him, "Hey, we're gonna follow your lead on this. We're gonna present options to you and take your input seriously. Maybe Kellen Moore gets to make the final decision on it." But I think they probably did not during the interview process. All right, so here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna cut Carr, and we're gonna eat this salary cap hit, and we're not gonna sign these free. Like they probably didn't get that far down the road, but it was an awareness that yeah, we've talked about this. We know that there's a very difficult decision to be made. If we cut him, what the cap ramifications are, we're going to continue to have those conversations. I think it was clear. I think the other thing that was clear is the fact that he gave the same answer twice made it very clear that he came in with
3
a
times.
prepared answer to that
3
question.
times.
Yeah.
He did an interview with Mike Garofalo.
Same wording,
Same
exactly.
like
yeah, you're exactly right.
and Jane Slater. Yeah, and it was
And it was a very
damn near bar for bar.
compliment the hell out of Derek.
Yeah.
And then say, can't wait to work with him and start making these decision processes. And then say, just like with any other player on the roster, I just got here, like, so
Yeah.
he had his answer planned out for Derek Carr, which made it clear. How am I going to navigate the Derek Carr situation? I am not going to commit to him because there is still discussions and a decision to be had. But look, he was very complimentary of him. He wasn't, hey, listen, Derek Carr's got pluses and minuses. He's going to have to earn it. He called him a premier player in this league. He said he's a starter in this league. He was also very complimentary to Derek Carr. So if he becomes his starter, he doesn't have to walk anything back. Like he said, no, I said he's a premier player and a starter. It's just like, is he going to be a premier player and a starter for us? Yet to be determined.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to kind of. Well, yeah, I don't know that we see anything here, but I mean, that is a group of people that they decipher everything. They look at every sentence, they break down every sentence, and they get pissed off about a lot of stuff. So
Yeah.
it'll be interesting to kind of see how that one goes over. But I would like to I wouldn't be against seeing what Kellen Moore can do with Derek Carr. Just my
Yeah.
personal preference is that I think I go younger and cheaper and get
Yeah.
better, but I don't know if it's feasible to do this
If the
year.
salary cap didn't exist, I wouldn't even have the conversation. I'd keep Carr until you draft a guy. I'd be fine with that. I just, as we've said a million times, like Carr is $40 million, and there's guys like Jimmy Garoppolo who are going to cost $4 million. Like that's the difference to me. But like
For me, if the cap didn't exist, I'm getting rid of him and going to Rattler. The only reason I keep him is because it messes up your cap. And,
Yeah,
and
well,
you
that's
can't
true.
really do anything
But I mean,
else.
if you're like the Patriots and you're like
I'm not trying to win
185 million under the cap, I'll be like, sure, I'll go ahead and keep Carr until I found my next guy. I'm not trying to get Carr out of here because I think he's poisonous or because I also agree that if Carr's a starting quarterback, I'm going to up my win projection total. Like I just don't want to be like, that's 40 million that would be really, really helpful to this team in its rebuilding over the next couple of years.
See, the reason I would get rid of him is because to me it feels like a dead end that isn't leading anywhere.
Yeah.
Like you aren't going to win a Super Bowl, and it prevents you from finding a real answer, and it even prevents you from like just kind of getting lucky on one of these other journeymen that are cheaper and maybe just as good or better, or it prevents you from being bad enough to be in range to really go draft a quarterback. So the only reason that I would keep Carr,
it's a waste of time. It kind of feels like a waste of time.
Yeah, the only reason I keep Carr is because the dead money hit prevents me from doing other
Which
things.
is what I think is going to end up happening here. As I said, like as creative as Kai Harley is, man, I think they might have made their choice when they didn't redo his deal before week 17 of last year. Like this, it can be done. It can be done. But it would be done with, all right, and now you get to sign a total of 2 free agents for a total of $10 million. Like, it would really be it would be full reset. Just that one move would signal a full reset.
In fairness to the conversation, I think you're a worse team without him. Like,
Yeah.
I do. I think you're a worse team without him. I don't think he's a terrible player. I think he just doesn't really make a lot of sense for the Saints right now where they're at.
The other quote that Moore had that we both texted to each other separately, how was he just saying coach speak, or did he signal the direction they're going to go when he said, I think we're certainly going to compete for this division. We have a great opportunity in the NFC South, and we're going to focus on that while building this team the right way. Does that signal to you they've decided they're not gutting this thing? Or is that just coach speak?
Well, let's take that into the next topic. Next
Okay.
topic is presented by Urban South. What else stood out at Kellen Moore's first press conference? Yeah, I mean, that comment to me kind of felt like he's not. I think there's degrees of alignment probably within there, but I don't believe he's misaligned with the general philosophy of the Saints over the last several years of try to win the NFC South while remaining competitive. I think to me that signaled like anyone that wants it to go like all the way down to the bottom and tear it apart and start over and build a new house. No, but like it kind of feels like it's more like bringing, Chip and Diana Gaines and try to modify the house instead of building a
That
new
is a
house.
reference. That's
Like
quite a reference.
that's what it kind of feels like to me.
You got B whipped his head around on that one.
Yeah, like it feels like try to make what you have a little bit better. But it doesn't feel like a, down to the studs build a new structure thing. I don't think that's what it's going to be. And to me, that signaled that.
Yeah.
But like, what does it mean within there? Is it you're staying with the quarter? No, I think you could still
Right.
try to win the NFC
There's
South
wiggle
with
room in
Rattler.
that
Yeah,
quote. Yeah.
like there's ways to go with it. Also, though, you aren't going to go up there and be like, "Man, we're blowing this thing up. These guys suck." Like you can't do that either. But I do think, look, just on a general scale, like you aren't bringing in somebody that doesn't fit with the general ethos of your company, regardless of
Yeah.
what it is. It's going to be somebody that at least has the same general vision of the direction. How you get there could differ within it, but if you're Microsoft and your focus is building your cloud products, you aren't hiring a CEO that's like, no, we got to build this whole thing around the Windows Phone. Like you aren't going to do it like that. So I think in general, they brought in a guy that kind of sees things the same way.
And look, I don't think this was a carefully crafted statement that they put out as a press release. It was something he said, so I don't want to overparse it. But I really do like the wording, which is we have a great opportunity in the NFC South, and we're going to focus on that while building this team the right way. So I hope it is the concept of, sure, we'll go ahead and try to win this crappy division this year, but it's not going to get in the way of building the team the right way. I've mentioned it many times here. The Denver Broncos model under Sean Payton, he didn't want to keep Russell Wilson, and he clearly didn't want to keep Justin Simmons, and he clearly didn't want to keep Jerry Jeudy, but his hands were kind of tied, so he kept those guys for 1 year, got rid of them the day the season was over, and he had the plan for what the Broncos are building now the whole time. It just didn't all happen overnight. So hopefully that's the key here. I do think Derek Carr will stay just because, gosh, I don't see a way around it right now. I would love to see him stay with a pay cut. He said he won't do that. But yeah, I do agree. If Derek Carr is the one who goes, salary cap forces him to be the only one who goes. There is no getting rid of Derek Carr, Demario Davis, Tyrann Mathieu, Alvin Kamara, Cam Jordan, Taysom Hill. You can't. Like, the money doesn't allow you. You have to restructure all their contracts to fit Derek Carr's dead money. So it would be Spencer Rattler behind Eric McCoy and Tali Fuaga and Cesar Ruiz, thrown to Chris Olave and Rashid Shaheed and Alvin Kamara and Carl Granderson and Brian Brzee on the defensive line and Pete Werner and Demario Davis at linebacker. You could try to win the NFC South with that. That's kind of what I want to see this year, to give Spencer Rattler that chance to play behind the actual roster.
Yeah. One of the other things that kind of stood out to me overall with it is that I just kind of like his general presence in a way, in the sense that I think you can go up there, and I think it's very easy to go up there and try to make the big statements, and I'm going to set my culture, and I'm going to win the press conference, and I'm going to make sure that I, stand up there and, do all this stuff. And when it's Dan Campbell, it works, but even then it can be a little bit too much. We've seen different people kind of go up there in those settings and kind of handle that maybe the wrong way, or try to be somebody else, or try to, I got to do it this way, or, hey, everybody tries to say I don't have enough leadership, so I got to go up here and show everybody that I'm the leader of.
Yeah.
And I feel like he just went up there and he was himself. And I think ultimately, if you're going to,
that's been true in every conversation we've had
with him, like unapologetically, I know who I am. I'm
Yep.
comfortable with it. And if you're going to question it, who cares? Like, I'm going to do my thing and I'm going to show you. Like, it's just kind of like whatever. Like, I'm going to show you through consistency that this works and it has worked and it's going to continue to work. And I am who I am. And all I can do is be Kellen Moore. And I felt like he did that again. He didn't try to put on too much. He didn't try to go up there and prove anyone wrong. Like, he just did himself. And I think ultimately, if he succeeds in this job, it's going to be through just being yourself, being consistent, not trying to be Sean Payton, not trying to be Dan Campbell, not trying to be Nick Sirianni. Like, he's going to win it by being himself every single day, showing up, being Kellen Moore. This is who I am. This is what I stand for. And I thought that was the start of it. And I think if he wins, it's going to be because of that.
And look, we came on here and did a few shows. We wrote several stories, and we tried to convey the impression that Kellen Moore gave us. I think the press conference is for everyone who got the chance to see the press conference. I think it's a good indication of what we saw too. Exactly that, which is the things he's super confident in, the things he takes ownership of, offensive football, like enthusiasm for offense, big ideas on offense, wanting to be aggressive on offense. Um, I think that all comes through, and then he doesn't fake the stuff that's not his. Yeah, so I agree. There's no phoniness in there. So there's maybe some shortcomings in there or some things that he's going to have to learn on the job. But yeah, he's not trying to pretend to be something he's not. I actually talked to Jason Garrett the other day, who made the similar transition from being a player to an OC to a head coach really quick. And he said that he mentioned Tony Dungy as an example because he works with him every night on Sunday Night Football. He said all types of different personality types do work in this league. The one place you get in your trouble is oh, now I'm going to have to be, he said, Joe Leader. Like now I'm going to pretend like I'm a leader. And that's where you get yourself in trouble. He said that's never been an issue with Kellen Moore. He's never tried to pretend to be something he's not. So
look, the thing with this guy too, like it feels like he knows his strengths and weaknesses, and he's honest about them. And
Yeah.
I don't think that's going to be an issue. And I don't know, like maybe there is a way to lead through his personality. Like there's a lot of different ways to do it. And I think the one thing that maybe gets forgotten in a lot of it is that this is a dude that won 50 games as a college quarterback.
Yeah.
Like there's some
That's
level
alpha.
there's some level of leadership there. Like just because it isn't like necessarily the big macho Dan Campbell, like I got the huge stature and I got the huge presence, but like I think you can lead from a lot of different forms. And like maybe it's not the alpha prototype type of leadership, but like there has to be some type of leadership quality here. And then even just to be able to go from being I am your third string quarterback to now I am your boss in the meeting room, and to be able to do that, there's some level of like I'm able to get people to buy into me that I think is probably overlooked a little bit. We'll see if it works in the long run, but it might not be as big of a minus as everybody's painting it out to be. Like there are some things here that I think we probably should take a step back and be like, wait a minute, like that's not an easy thing to do. Like it literally, like an underling went to being the boss and it worked and they succeeded. Like there is something there, and then he took another step up to an even bigger chair right after that, and now this guy that was in practice probably like throwing picks and not moving up the depth chart at quarterback is everybody's boss on that side of the ball, and it works. Like there has to be something there with that buy-in.
A couple other things that stood out to me. I mean, this is a no-brainer since he took the job 1 or 2 days after the Super Bowl. But obviously, everybody had to be careful about when they agreed that he was going to be the coach. But he left no doubt that, like, from the very first interview, he wanted this job. That there was no hesitation. He wasn't wishy-washy. Oh, I had a tough decision to make. They sold me. They convinced me. They added more money. Like he was like making it clear he was this is a job he's wanted since the get-go, and was very excited to take. What was the other thing I was going to say? Oh, and I mean, you hear it over and over again, stress the defense. What we don't know his exact, like, we could have like drawn up Clint Kubiak's plays. Like he followed such a clear formula, the Gary Kubiak offense, the Shanahan system and everything like that. But I think stress the defense is probably the phrase we've heard most from Kellen Moore. So we'll use tempo, we use motion, but whether we're running or passing, we want to be aggressive, attacking. I mean, does that come through in his offense? And how different is that from offenses we've seen that haven't worked around here?
I mean, well, I mean, I think just through pace, like they do a lot of pace. Sean used to do a lot of pay in and out of the huddle fast, get up, don't let them get set up, don't let them see too much, get the ball snapped, get moving, like know what you're going to do and do it and go. Like I think there's a lot of that. But then you see with the motion and stuff too, like when they're moving slower, like they're doing a lot of stuff to kind of quote unquote stress the defense through that stuff. But I do think that in general, like I'm kind of just at the beginning of it, like going Dallas, Chargers, Philly. Like there's a lot of like he has his modified West Coast, and it kind of shows through everywhere. He has his concepts. There is some like blending and everything within it. Type of runs they're doing, I think it's changed a little bit over time, but I think in general, like there is the Kellen Moore offense, and you see the Kellen Moore offense kind of from start to finish, and yeah, certainly things have been added, but yeah. Look, one other thing I like about this guy, when he talks, It isn't the adopted speech pattern and phrases that everybody that seems to work with the Saints uses.
Think this.
Yeah, like there's like a cadence and there's a couple catchphrases that it seems like everybody uses. Thank God, like those are over. Like Moore definitely has a couple things that he says over and over, like little phrases that I'm already noticing. But yeah, I mean, I'm just glad that they're different than you know. I think that
Rizzy still wins in that category, though. Rizzy was the real breath of fresh air, right?
I mean, look, Kellen Moore's completely different. But yeah,
true.
I mean, Rizzy came in and was healing as hell. Shout out to Rizzy. I hope he gets the job that he wants. I think he's a great coach, great leader. And I hope he gets to be a head coach.
Rizzy's my all-time favorite press conference among any Saints head coach. I've covered Haslett, Payton, Cromer, Vitt, Allen, Rizzy, Moore. Now I'll give Rizzy the press conference wins.
No question about it. Like just not overprotective of stuff that doesn't matter. Protective of stuff that doesn't matter, but didn't lie, didn't, you know, and he would explain things. He would explain them with enthusiasm, treat you like a person. Like
my
Rizzy's
favorite thing
dude,
Rizzy
man.
did was he would say, I know the narrative's out there. I've talked to player X about the narrative, as opposed to I don't read newspapers. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, all that stuff, man. Like Rizzy definitely won that. And look, his interactions at the podium, like it was just easy to see why he's such a great leader, why people love him, and he's even.
But yeah, I agree. I mean, Moore is different, and that's what this team needs more than anything in the world right now is different, and Moore is different, and I'm glad they did it. And that signals a lot. Back to the original question, that signals that it's not going to be business as usual. The hiring of Kellen Moore signals that it's not going to be business as usual around here.
Yeah, we're assuming Rizzy probably goes out to Denver sooner than later, takes that job, and he'll continue to be a great coach and a great leader. And I hope one day he gets to really run his own program, because I'd like to see how it would go. Speaking of programs, though, we're going to put this one on a pause and be right back after this quick word from our sponsors. Ochsner Hospital for Orthopedics and Sports Medicine on Clearview Parkway is celebrating 5 years of exceptional achievements. The hospital's integrated team has successfully performed over 20,000 surgeries using the latest in cutting-edge technology. With nationally recognized services and impactful partnerships, they continue to lead the advancement of orthopedic and sports medicine care in our region.
Rouse's Markets is voted best grocery store in New Orleans, best grocery store in Baton Rouge, Mississippi, Gulf Coast, Thibodaux, Houma, Hammond, Lake Charles, Mobile, year after year. Thank you for choosing us best grocery store on the Gulf Coast. Number one. Thank you.
Thank you.
The number one grocery store
In Mississippi, Alabama,
Louisiana. 1 million customers a week can't be wrong. Welcome to Rouse's.
The NewOrleans.Football show is proudly presented by PJ's Coffee. PJ's Coffee has some of the best drinks that you can find. They have locations all over the city. They have pastries and everything else you need to get your day started. So go check them out. NewOrleans.Football is proudly sponsored by Urban South Brewery, the makers of Paradise Park Lager. I love supporting local breweries, and when looking for a refreshing, easy drinking beer, I always recommend Paradise Park. In fact, I think it might be the best game day beer out there. If you want something a little lighter, try Paradise Light. It's everything I love about Paradise Park with just 96 calories and 2.6 carbs. And if you're looking for a family-friendly place to watch the game, I'd recommend Urban South's Tap Room in the Lower Garden District. They've got 15 TVs, 30 unique beers on tap, and mouth-watering urban smash burgers. The whole family will want to make Urban South their new living room, because at Urban South, they take laid back seriously. Looking for the best insurance coverage at the lowest price? Look no further than Chabert Insurance, the Earhart Agency. They are a local independent insurance agency right here in New Orleans, specializing in home, flood, and auto insurance. At Chabert Insurance, the Earhart Agency, their dedicated team will shop every available carrier in the market, ensuring you get the most comprehensive coverage at the lowest possible price. Why settle for less when you can have the best? Trust Chabert Insurance, the Earhart Agency, to protect what matters most to you. I do. I've been a client of theirs since 2021. Call them today at 504-326-6526 or visit them online at Protected by Chabert. That's 504-326-6526. Chabert Insurance, the Earhart Agency, your local insurance experts. Hardhide Ponchatoula Strawberry Whiskey is an 86 proof blend of aged wheat bourbon, American light whiskey, and fresh Ponchatoula strawberries. Blended in New Orleans, it is not for the thin-skinned. Look for it in your favorite stores, bars, and restaurants. NewOrleans.Football is proud to be sponsored by Firehouse Subs. Make sure you check out their location on Veterans Boulevard. Attention Saints fans, don't let pests and termites invade your home field. Trust the team at Red Pest Solutions to tackle those unwelcome visitors. Call the Red Man today for unbeatable pest and termite control. Score peace with no pest. Visit redpest.com, REDDPEST.com. Welcome back to NewOrleans.Football, presented by PJ's Coffee. Our next segment is presented by Shea Bear Insurance, the Earhart Agency. Saints have started to make some hires on their coaching staff. We know that Brandon Nugent is coming back to be the O-line coach, was here for quite a while. Keith Williams is staying as a wide receivers coach, and it was reported that Chase Hazlitt will be the tight ends coach by NFL Network. We haven't confirmed that one ourselves yet, but out there, good reporting on that. Anything stand out?
Well, yeah. I mean, if you want to be pessimistic, the first three hires we know about are a guy who just came from last year's staff, a guy who came from the previous staff under Sean Payton, and a guy who is the son of former Saints coach Jim Haslett. I mean, I know a lot of people want to see Kellen Moore get to make all his hires and break all ties from the past, and the first three hires we hear about have some ties to the past. But so I want to acknowledge that, but I'm not overly concerned by it. I don't think we're going to see that with the coordinator hires, although Phil Galliano should be a strong candidate to remain as special teams coordinator. In each instance, you see why. He worked with Chase Hazlitt in Dallas. He knows him. He probably wanted to hire him even if he got a job in a different city. He worked with Nugent in L.A. He probably wanted to hire him even if he got a job in another city. And I would hope that any coach who had the opportunity to hire Keith Williams, right, would want to, because I think we were really impressed and pretty shocked that he had never gotten his opportunity as a wide receivers coach. I think the players really respected him. Wide receivers around the league really respect him. So individually, every one of the hires makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be some crossover. Like he went to a place where there was some Saints influence with the Chargers. In Dallas, the league's only so big. Like there's always going to be people that are kind of tied in a little bit. So yeah, none of this to me is like holding on to the past. Like the offensive line coach that left and came back, and yeah, I mean that doesn't bother me. And then Keith Williams, obviously, I think is somebody that it was just smart to keep him. You got a young receiver room. The young receivers like him. They like working with him. He has the right type of personality to kind of work with that group. Incredibly highly respected around the NFL. He's somebody that I had circled as like, I hope they're able to keep him. And I thought they might have had a chance because he wasn't part of that little Kubiak contingent.
Right.
Like he was hired outside of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I think him staying makes a lot of sense. So we'll see what the other hires end up being. I think we're still probably expecting Nussmeier to get a good look at OC, and Staley to get a good look at DC, and Phil to get a good look at special teams coach.
Would that be a win?
Which one?
If that's the trio, that's the betting favorites for the three jobs. Look, he's 3 weeks behind every other team in hiring coordinators. But frankly, those could have been his three coordinators if he got the job on January 10th. So
I'd like him to keep
solid.
his guy. I'd like him to keep his guy. If Nussmeier's his guy and he's part of your success and you've brought him everywhere, I'd like him to keep his guy in some capacity on that one. Phil's an obvious win, like really good special teams coach. They've had great special teams. They had great special teams after Rizzi moved up and Phil took over, and they had the block field goal that probably wasn't a good thing for the Saints overall in hindsight. Like it would have been better to lose that game, but it was a great play and great scouting, and he figured it out. So yeah, I think letting Phil go would be a mistake personally. But we'll see what they do with that. Staley, I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I like the idea of him. I mean, he's been in the right places. He's been exposed to the right things. What do you do, a year with the Rams, and then
he
got
had
the
the
head
number
coach?
one defense in the NFL.
They had
got
really
a head
good
coaching
players,
job off
They
of
had
it.
really good players,
Yeah.
though. So I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
He's a to be determined for me, but I like someone with the pedigree. I just don't know.
Yeah.
If you want to look at it through a negative lens, you can find things that are like, well, I don't know. You need to prove this to me. Like, was this smoke and mirrors? I think the things that submarined him with the Chargers don't carry over to the DC job, like clock management, game management. Like those wouldn't be in his purview. I like the idea of a former head coach being on the staff. Like, it kind of helps you with your blind spots. And I think there's lessons to be learned from failure, really good lessons to be learned from failure. But yeah, we'll see. I mean, I don't know. I don't want to like vouch for him because I think there's some unseen things that like, it's okay. Like, let's see what he could actually do.
No, who are the other candidates we know about that? I think Jeremy Fowler reported that George Edwards might be a long time
Vikings.
Experienced defensive coordinator. I don't have strong opinions either way, but he'd be experienced. And then is it Durante Jones that they
the Vikings defensive pass game
he's been working for Flores. He's been interviewing all around the league. He's got some LSU ties and some local ties. So it's not a done deal. There's going to be a long, thorough process there. But yeah, I don't know how many guys he missed out on by being the last one hired, but probably not a ton. Probably not a ton. I know there was the report that both him and the Cowboys would be interested in the guy, the Arizona run game coordinator that the Cowboys ended up hiring as their offensive coordinator. Maybe that's a guy he wanted on his staff. But as we've said, I kind of feel like Nussmeier was always the front runner to be the OC. So we'll see if it plays out.
And it kind of feels like Staley would have been one of the top 1-2 guys on that side.
Yeah.
I don't really think, and I've been studying this. I don't really think there's not a tangible disadvantage of being the very last team to hire a coach. Like, there just isn't. Like, historically, they're just factually
it's kind of the opposite, right? Did you show me the list?
Factually is not.
Like,
yeah.
It's almost like the best hire of every cycle has been the last one hired.
Yeah. I mean, like, factually, like, and look, there's been some disasters late in the process. Dennis Allen was late in the process, and that didn't work out.
David Coley was the last one hired his year.
But like, factually, since over time, like, it's just like the idea of like, oh my God, they aren't going to have a good coaching staff because they're too late, like, to the party. That's just factually not a thing that's true. But I think in general, if you have a good head coach, if you're hiring a good head coach, like, those things are going to kind of all work out on their own anyhow.
Was Kevin O'Connell coming off the Super Bowl? I know Shanahan was coming off a Super Bowl. Was Kevin O'Connell also coming off a Super Bowl? Did he get hired right after the Rams won the Super Bowl?
I'll tell you when O'Connell.
I think he did.
That was 22.
Yeah, they won the Super Bowl, and then he became the Vikings coach on February 16th, which isn't even happened yet.
Yeah.
That worked out okay.
Yeah.
But you're cherry picking. I mean, he may or may not work out. It's a tough situation here, no doubt about it.
Sirianni was a pretty late hire. Yeah. Sean Payton was a late hire. He was in February.
He had to get rejected a couple other places before he said yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. All right. Anyways, we're going to hit a quick break here, and we'll be back with the Martins questions, 2 of the day. Total Maintenance is one of the largest locally owned home and commercial service providers in South Louisiana and serve the greater New Orleans and Baton Rouge markets. They have a membership program that gets you 2 tune-up visits for AC and heating, as well as club membership discounts of 15% on all repairs, half off of all diagnostic charges, and 3-year warranties on most repairs for membership clients. This is usually priced at the low price of $24.95 a month per system, but if you tell Total Maintenance that you found them through NOF, they'll lower the price to $20.95 per month per system for as long as you keep the membership active. Services include AC and heating service and replacement, electrical service, plumbing service, as well as generator service and installation. They are Total Maintenance. Find them at tm-ac.com or give them a call at 504-841-3300, or if you're in the Baton Rouge area, 225-480-1000. Martin's is your go-to destination for everything merry and bright this holiday season. From an unmatched selection of bourbon, whiskeys, and wines to gourmet food, gift baskets, and catering, Martin's has all your holiday needs covered. Family owned and operated since 1946, Martin's knows the perfect ways to celebrate this season with loved ones. Visit them in Metairie, New Orleans, or Baton Rouge, or shop online for the ultimate convenience. Whether you're raising a glass or looking for the perfect holiday gift, make it an easy and cheerful holiday with Martin's.
Welcome to the Queen Casino, where entertainment meets unparalleled customer service. From our days on the water to our new land experience overlooking the Mississippi River, our dedicated staff is here to ensure your visit is nothing short of exceptional. Whether you are coming or going, our well-lit parking lot and security team provide guests with red carpet treatment. Our security team keeps watch so you can focus on fun and fortune. From table to table, our attentive staff is here to serve up the ultimate experience. Join us at the Queen Casino. Your royal adventure awaits.
Welcome back. It is now time for the Martins questions of the day. Martins is home to a wide selection of hand-picked barrel select bourbon, whiskeys, and more. Martin, so much more than just wine. Our first one is, should the Saints focus on one side of the ball to improve this offense and maybe make that unit good/above average, and next year focus on the other side, or rebuild both sides at the same time? Likely a slower process. The logic here, according to the questioner, is that if one side is closer to being a good unit, will you be a better team overall?
I mean, I understand the concept of the question. The first Super Bowl I ever covered, I asked Brian Billick a question about that. Like, his salary cap was still relatively new. It's like, is it easier? Is it sort of a cheat code to build a dominant defense in Baltimore? That was when Trent Dilfer was their quarterback. Is that sort of a way around the salary cap? You can't be great at everything, so build a dominant unit. I understand the concept, but look, if the Saints want to make their two best players this offseason a left tackle and a defensive end, then do that. I am just 100% at a place where get all pros, get good players. Yeah. You need one in every unit on offense. You need one in every unit on defense. I'm okay if they have a top 15 offense and a top 15 defense. I'm okay if they have a top 5 offense and the number 25 defense. Just, don't overthink it. Just get the best possible players and build this thing for the future. So, fair question though.
Yeah, don't pass on a better defensive end to get a lesser wide receiver because you're following a pattern. Like, just draft good guys and then figure it out. Like, really, that's it. They need to get I don't even know if you can get 6 starters over the next 2 drafts. Like that'd be good. 7, 8, like whatever the number is. Like, they need to get a lot of players and just get them on the field and figure it out from there. But don't try to force a pattern, force a path. Like, just get the best players and put them on the team and try to build your team like that. Our next one is, how would everyone feel about getting Jaxson Dart in the draft? Fine in the second round. I don't like it at 9. I don't like it at 9. I think he's a good player. I think he'll be a good player. He might end up being someone that shoots way up the board, but I don't need to be the team that drafts him. I don't think 9th overall. I'll do more work on it. Maybe I'll end up walking that back, but that doesn't feel like a sure thing to me at this point in time.
Yeah. I mean, again, we'll bring up the Sean Payton model. I mean, I wasn't high on Bo Nix. Analysts weren't high on Bo Nix. Sean Payton's super high on Bo Nix. We actually ran into him during Super Bowl week, and he's singing the praises. He really believes in him. If you really believe in Jaxson Dart, just clearly don't force it. Don't be like, gosh, we need a quarterback, and he's the best one available, and so we're going to take him at 9. But if Kellen Moore is like, I can't believe this guy's available with the 9th pick. If you love a Bo Nix or a J.J. McCarthy or a Michael Penix.
I would have said no to Bo Nix. You're right.
Yeah, and you can get him at 9, great. But don't take a second rounder with the 9th pick because you're trying to force a quarterback. Yeah. So it's totally up to really Kellen Moore.
And Sean was letting us know that we would have been people that would have said no to Bo Nix, and he was right.
Yeah, oh yeah, no question. He's taking his victory laps now.
Look, if you're right on it, it doesn't matter. It does not matter. Like, if Kellen Moore's like, Jaxson Dart is my guy, then go get him. You
don't force it though. You don't say, this draft class sucks. We had him rated 40th on our board, but we need a quarterback. Do not do that. Do not do that.
Yeah, no question about it. All right, that's going to do it for us on this show. Appreciate y'all tuning in. We'll see you next time.